Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, announced last week, accidentally announced last week, the latest Obama-Biden agency, the new Board of Misinformation. My head almost exploded. I was the first to expose what a horrible idea this was. It took a while, but the folks over at Fox jumped on board the balance bandwagon, are now joining our cry for the Obama-Biden administration to shut it down before it becomes real, if it hasn't already yet. There are so many reasons this is a terrible idea. There are constitutional issues with this. There are historical precedents that would show the path we definitely don't want to follow if Obama and Biden get this misinformation board to take control over our First Amendment rights of free speech. There are so many issues with this board I can't emphasize enough. The idea is rife with potential for bias, prejudice against the party not in power, and rife with explosive political gunpowder. Basically, the Misinformation Board will be weaponized for political purposes. There is zero doubt in my mind, and there should be zero doubt in yours, that these people will use this board to censor conservatives. What I can say to you, and more concerning, what I will be able to be banned from showing you, like, for example, any information the leftists running the board disagree with. They will then move to silence our voices. Eventually, they will even censor what we post on social media. Nina Jankowicz is being tapped to run this agency. The DHS Secretary Mayorkas was all over the Sunday talk circuit singing the praises of Ms. Jankowicz as being fair, unbiased, and qualified.
Eminently qualified, a renowned expert in the field of disinformation. Absolutely so.
Oh, yeah, neutral. Yeah, right. Well, Secretary, if your idea is neutral and being qualified means someone who's steeped in left-wing ideology and aggressive in her desire to silence anyone who disagrees with her, well then, you know what? You're right, Alejandro. She is the useful idiot for your propaganda board. Look, folks, this is nothing short of big government socialism. This is, simply stated, a censorship board for the Democrats to do something to save a bloodbath coming November. Nina Jankowicz is a partisan hack who called the Hunter Biden laptop story misinformation, and who called the fake Steele dossier and Russian dossier collusion. So the new czar of misinformation is either A, a total partisan hack who will do anything and everything to shut down conservative voices, or B, she's as dumb as a skunk. I think the Obama-Biden administration knows exactly who they picked, and the former is the case. Choice A, Jankowicz is a liberal warrior for bias and a butcher of free speech. And Mayorkas, well, he needs to be impeached now. If he's not now, come November, he will be. Lefties love to defund stuff. We should defund this agency immediately upon taking the House also. Congress holds the United States checkbook, so defunding the Truth Ministry should be job number one for that incoming Congress. Speaking of Mayorkas, if they needed any more reason to fire this guy right now, this same guy is the guy who's in charge of securing the border being overrun with a record number of illegals crossing over, invading month after month. And Border Patrol and ICE are preparing for a tsunami of illegals invading the U.S. this summer, starting right now, May. And this guy says, move along. Nothing to see here.
We inherited a broken and dismantled system that is already under strain. It is not built to manage the current levels and types of migratory flows. Only Congress can fix this. Yet, we have effectively managed an unprecedented number of non-citizens seeking to enter the United States.
We've effectively managed 211,000 last month, expected to break that record number again this month. That's how you're effectively managing the border. Mayorkas, this is the guy who thought the biggest threat to security in America is white nationalists and domestic terrorism. And when asked to name just one instance, just one, well, Mr. Racist was at a loss for words.
How many cases involving white supremacists and domestic terrorists have you referred to DOJ for prosecution?
Congressman, let me
simple. Do you not have the number? It's a simple number.
You've made some profoundly inaccurate statements that I would like the opportunity to correct.
I'm specifically asking you a question. You just clarified. Domestic terrorism is a threat to the homeland, #1 threat. And I'm asking you, how many referrals from Homeland Security have you made to DOJ for white supremacy or domestic terrorism?
Congressman, I will provide you with that information.
So you don't know?
Yeah, you don't know. Mayorkas is either a very big, bad liar or he's completely delusional. Either case, he shouldn't hold a cabinet-level position, and certainly not one where our safety is at the mercy of his ability to keep us safe and secure and alive. No way, Jose. I'm sorry. No way, Alejandro. And furthermore, that the Democrats think this is a totally normal situation. The Secretary of Homeland Security setting up a censorship board while his borders are being overrun tells you everything you need to know about them. Nothing matters to them except getting reelected. Our safety and security take a backseat to allowing illegals to invade the country. They see future Democrat voters there, is my guess. The First Amendment, free speech, is shredded so that the Democrat Party can censor conservative voices that expose their self-dealing agendas. It's disgusting, folks, and it's highly un-American. Mayorkas and Jankowicz are two of the last people who should be leading any ministry of truth, and the U.S. government shouldn't even have considered creating something like this to be run by partisans with political agendas. So now we have to have a Disinformation Governance Board, a DGB, so to speak. Russia had a KGB. Meanwhile, the original gangster, the OG of censorship, so to speak, was a guy named Adolf Hitler. In the days after the Nazi electoral victories of July 1932, Adolf Hitler informed Joseph Goebbels that he intended to make Goebbels director of the new propaganda ministry when the Nazis took over the reins of national government. Goebbels soon envisioned an empire that would control schools, universities, film, radio, and propaganda. The national education of the German people, he said, will be placed in my hands. Goebbels. Editors and journalists were expected to follow the mandates and instructions handed down by the ministry and had to be registered with the government's press chamber to work in the press. They even had a special clause. Clause 14 of the law ordered editors and journalists to omit anything, quote, calculated to weaken the strength of the Hitler regime, abroad or at home. The propaganda ministry was put in place to control the content of news and editorial pages through directives distributed in daily Berlin, transmitted through the party propaganda offices to regional and local newspapers. Wow. Detailed guidelines stated that stories could or could not be reported, which ones could or could not be reported, and how to report the news. Sound familiar much? Here's the kicker. Journalists who failed to follow these instructions could be fired or sent to concentration camps. So yeah, folks, the Obama-Biden administration just launched a Hitler-esque propaganda agency, and the left yawned. But we won't. Let me pose a thought for you all leftists running around the country thinking this is a good idea, an okay idea, because, you know, rightly so, you'll be free to post whatever you want and broadcast whatever the left-wing propaganda you want. But we conservative thinkers and speakers will get the censorship police hacking away at us. But just for a minute, let me pose this question to you. Let me say, I don't know, Ron DeSantis in Florida launches a Florida Disinformation Governance Board, the FDGB. I don't know, appoints, I don't know, let's say Donald Trump to run it. How many of you liberals would need emergency medical attention, like this poor guy who breaks down every time Trump's name is invoked?
Donald J. Trump is now President of the United States. President
What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th.
Let's see it again, isn't it, folks? Can't never get enough of that guy right there. I think it's a guy.